Hello and welcome to the Imperfect Tesla. So today we're going to be doing part 3 of the Polestar 2 not a review. And again, I keep saying not a review because it's not a detailed review like you see folks do. I'm just sharing my experience from having a car for a few days and my observations and things that were good with it and things that were interesting. So it's not a review, but hopefully this perspective of a regular everyday user and just showing you my experience with it helps you if you just want to see what other cars are doing, and also if you're in the market for it and you're just curious to see what options do you have in a Polestar 2. Hopefully this kind of helps you with some of that decision, and let's get to it. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about storage, and I've got notes behind me here, so if I'm looking up to the side a little bit, I'm just trying to make sure I reference my notes. It's a lot of points that I'm covering today. But today we're going to be going over like storage, the charging, driving experience, and then what are the major hits and the misses, right? So basically what works really well and what were the things that were questionable, interesting. So let's start with storage. So you do get pockets on the side and the center console on both the driver and the passenger side. Some cars have like the whole space all through under that center console, but in this case you get just a little bit of a pocket on the side. And then you also have some storage in the door. I think we mentioned this in the previous video, but you've got some storage in the door. They're not that deep, but it's not a lot of space in there, but it is something. Then speaking of storage in the rear seats, the rear seats fold down in the 60/40 configurations. So with doing that, you can expand the storage. And a quick mention of a hit here, that's something that Polestar did very well in this case here. The rear seats have a tab that sticks out when they're not in the lock position. So if you were to fold the seat down, you get these tabs that shoot out of the seat, and it's red. So if you have the seat back up, it's a good indicator to kind of see that those seats are now locked in position. And I feel like that's pretty good, especially if you have kids, little kids in the back that could be sitting in those seats. You want to make sure that they are strapped in well and they're not in a seat that's not firmly locked in. So when you close the seat, the tab goes back in, and when the seats are unlocked, the tab shoots out just to let you know, what's going on there. So then moving into the trunk, you have this privacy guard that's there that helps, I guess, hide what's in your trunk. I found it to be a little bit flimsy. It's very light. It's held in place by just 2 straps on the side, but it's something. And then in the trunk, you've got pockets on the side, right? There's one side that's got like a net in there to hold things in place. The other side has a little bit of a cutout too, but that side, instead of a net, you've got like a elastic strap that's in there. I do like the side pockets in the Tesla better because those ones go deep into the trunk also. So this is just flat with the trunk, but it's something. You got a 12-volt outlets in the trunk also, and we're going to talk about some the charging in a little bit here, but just a preview of what the charging looks like. You also get cargo tie down hooks in the 4 corners of the trunk, so if you're trying to like hold something down, you have a option to be able to do that. Now on the floor of the car, you've got some options there for storage, right? So first is this divider like thing. It's spring loaded, so you pull it up and it's held upright, and in there you've got hooks for like grocery bags that you can use to hold stuff. And then on the floor you have this whole floor that is basically you have more storage on the floor, and the whole floor lifts up to reveal the storage that's under the floor. But that's a problem. To get to that storage, you have to basically lift up the whole floor to get to it, and it's not like broken into divided. It's the whole floor that lifts up to get to that bottom storage. You also get some kind of a bar that you can use to lock the floor up. So when you have it open, you put that bar in place, and that kind of helps hold the floor up. And then under that floor, you got a sub trunk. It's not as deep as what you have in a Tesla, and it's not like a regular shaped space, but it is something. It's a little bit deep enough. It's a decent size, and so you've got something there. At least, some cars don't have that. And then to close that flow again, you basically just remove the bar that you put in, to hold up in place, and it comes down. I get the idea behind it, but I feel like it's, it could be better. And so that's what's going on over there. In the trunk, and of course you got your buttons on the trunk there to close. So one is your close, that will just close the trunk. Other one is your close and lock. So you use the close and lock, it closes the trunk and it locks the car if you have the keys around here. And I'll just say, panel gaps within spec, right? So we all know about the Tesla panel gaps in here. There were no issues with panel gaps or anything that I see. And of course, with this being a Polestar with SiriusXM, you have an antenna in the back there. Now let's move to the front storage area here. This does have a frunk. I know when I did the EQS did not have a frunk. There's a huge, sizable front hood over there, but nothing, you can't open it. Only thing you get is on the side, which is a port for the windshield washer. But in the Polestar 2 here, you do get a front that you can open up and get some little bit of extra storage in there. But the first quirk here, maybe it's not a quirk, because I'm sure it's a safety, thing. But there is a latch that you have to move to open the front here, and I must say that hood is a lot more solid than your Tesla hood. It's heavy. It's not light. The front itself is a really small space with a divider in it. It looks big, but it's not as deep as it looks. As you can see, I'm measuring there. Of course, the front is a lot shorter than the rear. I mean, the front is only like that deep, but it's something. And then under that divider, you have a tire repair kit. You've got a lug wrench, so you losing your lug nuts. There's a tow hook in there. You've got a tire inflator, so you can, if you're low, you can plug that into your 12 volt and you pump up your tires. You also have a tire sealant if you get a flat, and Tesla used to include this in the cars, but they took that away. And then behind that front, you have a scissor jack that you can use to put the car up in when you're having if you have a flat tire and need to change the tires. So as I mentioned, other things under the hood is that windshield washer port. But yeah, as I mentioned, the hood is heavy. It's a very heavy hood. And it's also pretty wide. It curves into the fenders on the side, and so when you close it, it's closing. It's solid. So let's talk about driving experience real quick. The car is as smooth as you would expect. Unfortunately, I didn't get too many clips of driving the car, but I can tell you it's powerful. And if I'm being honest, I think the pickup and the launch in this car is a little bit stronger or faster or better than the Tesla Model 3, Model Y long range. Now, not the performance, but the long range. Also, this is a performance. This has a performance pack. So, but when you hit it, it picks up a lot quicker than the Tesla Model, at least my Model Y. And I think the specs, the 0 to 60 in this is 4.2 seconds, and in the Model Y long range it's 4.8. So it's pretty close, but just a little bit faster. Now this screen here, pardon the fingerprints, that's not a problem with this screen here, with this Polestar. It's a fingerprint magnet. Like, it's not oleophobic in any way. But I was just trying to show you here. You get to see what's on the screen as you're driving. You get to see basically what's driving your consumption, and as you can see, the consumption climb as I try to gun it there. And you can also see what's saying AC was a high consumption, which would make sense because that day it was 106 degrees down here in Central Florida. So but it's nice that you get to see what's driving your energy consumption. We have that in Teslas now. This was shown before Tesla make that update, so it was nice to see that being adopted in Teslas. And then let's talk about charging. So in the car, it's a rental from Enterprise. It came with mobile charging in it, and the cable is pretty thick. I mean, compared to the Tesla mobile connector, the charging cable on this one is pretty thick. And this came with a NEMA 1450 adapter in this case, that you can lock in, and the adapter looks like it could be separated. So I'm gonna guess you can get option of different adapters out there based on what kind of outlet you have. I don't quote me on that though, but I'm gonna believe that's what that is. So with that, we're gonna try to get the charging on. So one thing that was interesting is I couldn't get a charge port to open. As you can see, I'm trying like it wouldn't open, and I just thought, well, let's close the door. And I closed the door, went back to the charge port, and it opened. So I'm not sure, but it looks like you can't get to the charging port if the driver's door is open. So that's just something that I thought was interesting. And of course, the car is CCS enabled. I think all of the EVs in America have CCS capabilities except for Teslas. And you've got your button to use to unlatch the charging cable, and you got a light that tells you your status. And again, that door was just weird that it would not open unless the door was closed, which just something to get used to. But so for the actual charging, let's see how that goes here. So I've got it plugged in into one of the ports on my splitter here, which if you want to learn more about that, I'm going to put a link up here. I have a review that I did about that. It's a new charge splitter, not plug here, but just showing you your options. But yeah, so there's a light ring on the bottom of the charger that pulses with different colors based on what the charger is doing. It's pulsing white on this charger, which means it's charging, and on the charge port, the light is green. And then when you press the button to unlatch the charger, you get an orange flash from the charge port, and then it goes steady when it's ready to pull out. And then when you, the default light is white when nothing is going on. And then when you plug it in also, it lights up orange until charging starts, and then it goes green. It took a while for the charging to engage, but it came, it finally did it. And so, and also on the inside, the instrument panel also gives you some status information as to what's going on with the charging. So you get a green ring around the instrument panel, and you also get details like your expected completion time, the current level, so how much have you charged up to, and the limit, of course the range, and then of course the charging rate also, how fast or how slow are you charging. So useful information there when it comes to charging. So now let's get to the hits and misses of the Polestar 2. Basically, what are the things that worked well and what are the things that needs to be improved. So first of all, I'm going to say one of the right off the bat, one of the good things that I think is pretty good with the Polestar 2 is the 360 degree top down camera view, the bird's eye view. It's very useful. Parking curbs, just knowing where you are, relative to your environment. That's something that I think every car should have. So Tesla, please make it happen. And of course, this car that I have here, it's got a performance pack that comes with the Brembo brake pads and Druid rotors. I thought that was pretty cool. Druid rotors are helpful. They help dissipate heat and help you, with stopping. But I also wonder, with one pedal driving, why you don't get to use the brakes that much. I wonder if you need the extra of the Druid rotors, but maybe not. Either way, it's a good look. I also think it's nice that there's a tire repair kit and a jack in the front, and also even a sealant also. So even though it's not going to be a permanent fix, having something in an emergency that you can use to at least get you to a tire shop or something, I think it's great. With Teslas, Tesla used to have that, but they took that away, and so now you have to figure out, either get like a spare tire in there or something, or figure out, how you're gonna just survive which is not a big deal, but just something that was nice that they had in there. I also showed earlier that there's an indicator that the rear seats are not locked in, so that little rear tire that sticks out, I think that's a good thing. It's just on the safety factor, especially if you have little kids, that's just good to have. And of course, they have a sub trunk, which is a space in the trunk under the floor of the trunk, and a frunk. Even though they're on the smaller side, I think it's nice that you have that. A lot of EVs don't even have anything like that. Even one like EQS has no sub trunk, has no frunk. Huge misses there. You also have light sequences with the headlights and the tail lights. This is a by the way thing. It's not that big of a hit, but always cool that you have something extra that just sets the car apart. And of course, everything else is great. Now, for some of the flaws in these cars, and there are some serious flaws that I'll say in here. One thing I noticed is when I was driving, I was trying to play with the the entertainment stuff with the volume and the music. I kept triggering the hazard lights, the double flashing lights, and I couldn't figure out why. And I realized whenever I use the knob, so the volume knob, you could press it also. It's like a selector. It's got a play in the middle, and you can also press the ring around it for the volume. And I realized whenever you use that knob, any small pressure on it will trigger the hazard light. That's because the hazard light button, the plastic thing for it, extends under that volume knob, so it doesn't just end in its little triangle section there. It's like the whole plastic piece is the whole hazard button. So when you push on the volume knob, you're pushing on the hazard light, and it just I don't know how you can prevent that. Probably just something you need to just get used to, but it drove me nuts. Now, another major miss here is going to be cup holders. Maybe not a big deal for a lot of folks, but for me it was just huge. I'll explain more a little bit in a second here. So at first glance, you think there's one, but you actually do get two. The problem though is the second one is under the center console, so you have to open the center console to get to the second cup holder, which may not be a problem because well, if you don't only need one, why do you have to have two? But let me tell you where there's a bigger problem with that. That center console moves. You can slide it forward, you can slide it back. When you slide it forward, you're gonna slide. It slides over like 3/4 of the way over the cup holder in the front. So if you're gonna be in this car, don't even think of using styrofoam cups. If you have a styrofoam cup in that front cup holder and you slide that center console forward, you're crushing it and you're gonna get a mess all over the car. So I don't understand why, but yeah, that's a weird thing. Another weird thing with that center console too is when you open it for that second cup holder, it opens all the way 180 degrees flat to the back. May not be a big deal, but if you have little kids in the back there and this thing is now sitting in that back, which we'll get to the middle space in a little bit, but it's just easy a mistake to be made where somebody can push hard on that thing and probably gonna snap it off. And then I don't know, so the cup holder thing is just weird, one or two sliding thing. Yeah, and I've already mentioned about the space in the middle seat in the back, how it's tight. There's a middle hump and everything, which is another huge miss. But yeah, that middle space, that middle seat there is pretty tight. Now with the center console opening all the way to the back, it's also not taking the little space that you have in that middle seat. So that middle seat really is not meant for someone to sit in. It's just meant to be, I don't know, storage. So I don't get it. And even the hump in the floor, like I've said before, I don't understand what that's about, but I just can't get over it. But so it is what it is. And then with that center console in the middle, being a cup holder, you don't have any proper storage in the center console. You have the pockets on the side, but they're not big and it doesn't go across it all the way through. So I'll say that's one thing that feels like a little bit of a miss there too, is you don't have a proper center console storage. And then in the trunk, I feel like that floor that you have there to get to that sub trunk, it's probably a little bit of a floor too, where it's a floor, FLAW, to get to because of the floor, you get what I mean. To get to the sub trunk, you have to basically lift off the whole floor, right? And it's all the way from the front all the way to the back. There's no middle hinge or anything, and they have to like get this thing bar to hold it in place, which may not be a problem, but it's the ease and the convenience of having to do that. I feel like that could be improved upon. And as with all non-Tesla EVs, you don't get too much entertainment extras, right? There's no theater, no Netflix, YouTube, Hulu. There's no games. There's no arcade, nothing. So yeah, just some quick hits there and quick misses. And so that has bring this 3 three-part saga of this Polestar review to an end. Overall, I think it's a good choice of a car. Polestar's got a few things in the works. There's Polestar 3 that's coming later this year. That's the SUV, and then there's a Polestar 4 that's coming in a couple of years. That's going to be just out of this world, right? That's the one with the no rear view window. So it is safe to say Tesla has some serious competition in the EV world now. Basically, every car brand out there has a fully electric option now, and I feel like this is a good, I don't want to say it's a wake-up call, but it's a good thing for Tesla to kind of note. There's other things that other cars are doing a little bit better than Tesla. Tesla has the game on lock when it comes to electric, the battery performance and range maximization and charging network, which we'll save all that for a different conversation, for a different video. So Tesla is not anywhere behind right now. Of course, the market share has been reduced with all these other makers coming out with EV lines. But again, just a good note to Tesla to just let them know, hey, listen, you gotta keep your game up, or people are coming for you. But like I said, this is the conclusion of the three-part saga of this Polestar review, and I did it this way because I wanted to be able to take time to get into different sections and details, right? And I mentioned I was going to do a compilation of all the three videos together, but what I'm going to do instead is going to be a quick hit of all the points covered so far, and that will be in a separate video. So if you've seen part 1, part 2, and part 3, and you're like, okay, this is great, it's a lot of information, detail, I just need a high level snippets of everything, that's going to be coming. We'll get that to you shortly. And again, thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys being here every time. Subscribers, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next time.